Okay, folks, this is it. This is the second and last update on this 2016 Toyota Camry LE. This is my work car. This is a fleet car that my company owns that was assigned to me. I've been driving it about 4 years, almost 4 years. And I got notified that retirement date is tomorrow. So me taking it in and exchanging it for a new car. I know what kind of car I'm going to get. I was given a list of cars I could request, so I already picked that out. I'm not going to tell you what it is now. It is a car, though. It's not an SUV. I just don't do SUVs, small ones. So anyway, just do a little quick walk around of this car. First, it's just, if you've seen one Camry, you've seen any of them pretty much. And back in there. Side over here. Like I said, this is just a base model LE, silver on gray. It's not my preferred color, but I didn't care about that. So anyway, I got this car in November of 2017. It had already been used as a car at the office. I think the daily department at our company was using it locally, so it didn't have many miles on it. I think it had 14,000 miles on it. I had gotten a promotion to another position with the company, and so when that happened, that qualified me to use a car. So this is the one I got. So now we went from 14,000 to 167,215. And externally, this car's held up fine. There's been no paint fading, no rusting, no anything, no problems, nothing's fallen off the outside of it. The last year has been a little bit rough on it because I hit a couple things, not by choice, but I ran over something with this tire and it flew up and hit the quarter panel. It put a strange dent in there, and I thought that it had punctured the tire, but there's a piece of metal. It got stuck sideways and it didn't puncture it, but it sure sounded like it was going to. It was doing that thump, 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 and that's what I was familiar with that because up here, just right up here in town, I was leaving for work one morning and I ran over a spark plug, if you can believe that. Isn't that with all the work I do here, isn't that kind of poetic justice? I ran over a spark plug and it got jammed in the passenger side rear tire and it went flat before I could get it to the tires place up here, so I had to change it, but they fixed it. The way that thing looked and felt, I didn't think they were going to be able to, but they did. So, I did not ever have to put a windshield in it. It got several little chips in it. It got one here, got one up right here, I think, and then there's one back over this way, maybe a couple of them. But chips are all they were, and never did crack. We're kind of famous as a company for taking out windshields, but this one survived. Somebody's probably going to ask about this dent here in the front of it, and I was not happy about that. That happened after the last update. I think that happened about 50,000 miles back, and also cracked the grill. But the hood functions, it's just fine. It didn't bend it or anything like that. But what happened was, I left real early one morning before daylight, headed to Nashville. And there's not in this town I live in, there's not a direct route from any place to the other. You have to at least make a couple turns and stops, and it's just crazy. But there's a kind of a way you can go around to the main road out of town up here and get to the interstate to head north. So I was heading out, and I wasn't going very fast. I was going down one of these little streets, and it was pitch dark, and all of a sudden I saw something like parallel to me moving like this. And before I knew it, I saw what it, finally recognized what it was. And like I said, it was going about 35 miles an hour. I wasn't even going that fast, but they were booking these about 4 or 5 deer. And sure enough, by the time I stood on the brakes, they angled sharply right across in front of me, and I caught one of them. And by the noise it made, I thought for sure it had just demolished the front of this car, but it didn't. Just put that dent in it, so I didn't. It already had over 100,000 miles on it. I wasn't going to turn that in for an insurance thing. It didn't bother me that bad, but I don't like doing stuff like that. At the front end on this car has been kind of sandblasted by a lot of, you know, rock chips and things like that. That thing there is all, the paint's held up pretty good on that thing, that grill. It's got a couple flaked places on it, but not bad. But they would have had to paint the whole front end of this, you know, the hood and probably the bumper cover, and I just wasn't going to go through all that. But anyway, that's about all to see on the outside. Let's see from the inside. So again, this is not my preferred color scheme. That's one of the things I didn't like about this car is the interior color. This gray upholstery has shown every stain and things that ever got spilled on it. It's been tough to keep it cleaned up. But it's still in good condition, still reasonable. Of course, I don't smoke or anything, so that's not anything. And the interior's worn very well. The steering wheel is not worn away or anything like that, except a couple of things. This little button here has started to flake. This is the turns your volume up on the radio, and then the one over here for the phone is also just starting to flake away right there. Maybe, you know, because of oil in your finger or something. But and then something surprising happened. I've seen this happen on cars before, and I always wondered how it happened. But this emblem, just a piece of it, broke loose right here. The chrome did, and it's almost like I can feel another bubble in there somewhere, but it bubbled, I guess, and I hit it one day and it just flaked right off. But the gear shift and everything is all held up fine. It's not shown any wear. The seats have done fine, the carpet and all that. You can't even tell it's got this many miles on it. This thing here has done well, except where I've hit it with a seatbelt buckle several times, and it's put a mark in it. Accidentally, of course. Don't do anything like that on purpose, but no headliner problems, nothing like that. The headliner's not even tried to turn loose or anything like that. No problems there. I had a bunch of stuff in the back seat all the time that's kind of marked it up a little bit. That's why, like I said, I hope the next car has a dark colored interior. So anyway, I don't know if I can get that hood open by one hand or not. Okay, so let's talk about how's this thing held up mechanically. That's the $100,000 question. Well, since the last update at $100,000, I'll tell you what I've had to do to it, what I've had to fix and everything. There's a bird there. Oh. Okay, anyway. Well, that should tell you. Now, there's going to be some detractors and some doubters and some people who never believe anybody who's going to say I'm lying about this, but I'm not. I'll swear on any Bible you give me, in any court I go to, that the only thing I've had to do to this car in the 67,000 miles since the last update has been put a battery on it at 127,000, which was just exactly a year ago. So I got in it one day and to start it up, and it started, but it didn't. It sounded weak, and new. So I knew what that was. So I drove directly to the Toyota dealer and had them put a battery in. It was pretty reasonable too. Their batteries were not expensive. But I've not. I know it sounds incredible, but I've never replaced any bulbs. I've never replaced the brakes, any of the brakes. No struts, no shocks. Never had to have transmission service. Done no other services on this thing except oil and filter changes. That's it. Air filters, cabin air filters, oil filter, oil changes. That's it. No, nothing else. No spark plugs. No, nothing. It's never been touched. I put a set of wiper blades on at 80-something thousand miles, Toyota blades, and they're still on there. I hadn't had to replace those. This is the second replacement set of tires on it. The first set were a set of Continentals that lasted about 39,000 miles, and they were terrible. They kept leaking. So I had a set of these Michelin Defenders put on, and they lasted till 110,000. So then I had another set of Michelin Defenders, which is this set, and they've got 57,000 on them. And I have no doubt they would go a full 70,000 also. So let me pause. I'll get the hood open on this. So again, it's kind of funny. As much time as I spend working on things on my personal vehicles, I never touched this car. And you can see I've never put any kind of fluids in this car ever. Not since day one. I never had to put antifreeze in it. Never had to add oil. No brake fluid. No nothing. Never had to put a belt on it. They put washer fluid in it when they service it. That's it. Still got the original hood struts, because of course, why wouldn't it? Because this hood's never open. So, yeah, somebody asked me, they said, you ought to tell us how much oil it leaks. Well, I don't know. It's still full and clean. That's because it doesn't leak any oil. Never has leaked any oil. So whatever, this is a different engine. This is a 2AR engine. I know the older engines were 2AZs, I think they were, and they had a lot of oil consumption problems and leaks and things, but it's safe to say that that's all cured with this one. So the engine's been bulletproof, the transmission's been bulletproof, and just no complaints out of it. Co-worker's got one that's got almost 200,000. His is fine. So anyway, so I like the fact that it's an easy car to drive. It's been super unbelievably reliable, cheap to maintain, and all that. It rides comfortable, it rides pretty nice. What I don't like about it is, even though the transmission is perfectly reliable, it's a 6-speed and it's a busy transmission. It shifts up and down a lot, and it tries to stay in the lower gear more than it should. And so it's a little annoying. So that's that. And then I would not buy another LE because it's just too bland of a car. I drove a SE for a week, just like this one, but an SE before I got this car as a loaner. And it's a much more sporty, nice looking car than this one is. And of course the color, like I said, that's about it. But otherwise, yeah, if you're in the mood for a reliable car, in the market for one rather, absolutely. You can't go wrong with these. Just don't buy ones when wrecked or rebuilt or rusted or anything like that. So you'll find, you'll find these, that's what I get for drinking orange juice in the evening. You'll find these cars 2015s through 2017s, and then they restyled them. And so when I was asked what kind of car I wanted, they gave a quite short list. It was the car I picked out, and then there was a Chevy Equinox, which is an SUV, and a Malibu, and a Buick Encore, which I immediately scratched all those. And then a Toyota Camry was on the list, but they said not immediately available, and that's because you can sell every recent model Camry there is before they even come off the transport truck. Alright guys, well this is it. We'll say goodbye to this. I'll drive it down to the office in the morning, hour and a half away, and take it to the place there where they keep the cars at and see what I got waiting on me. I think 4 or 5 of us got cars. They're turning in 3 Altimas, and I don't know what the other guy's driving, but I know one of the guys, one of my close co-workers in my department, he wanted an SUV. He used to drive a van, but I just gave this thing a wash job and a vacuum. I'm not turning in a dirty car. One of my other co-workers in my department did that once. He turned in a car. He basically just drove it up there and hopped out of the old one and jumped in the new one and left. And I don't think he washed it or vacuumed it or anything. And I think they got retribution on him. The next time he was due for a car, he got a used one. Already had 70,000 miles on it. So I just think that's disrespectful, turning in a dirty car when they provide the thing for you. So, all right guys, well, and gals, might be watching, if you're a lady that's looking for a car, I wholeheartedly recommend one of these. I've put a hard 153,000 miles on it personally, and never had any trouble out of this car. It's just been a fantastically reliable car. So you can tell clickbait Scotty Kilmer to go stick it, because he's full of it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. If there's one thing that's liable to disillusion me about being on YouTube, it's some goon like that can get so many viewers for doing nothing but running his mouth. Something's wrong with this world. So, but what is right with this world is these wonderful Camrys. And so if you're looking for a great car, and you don't want to be out here laying under it or working on it, you just want to enjoy life and drive, go buy one. Pick one up today. You'll be glad you did. Thanks for watching. See you again.